the first 10 minutes of the Marzipan Pig are really interesting, and then it becomes so. I will say I really thoroughly enjoyed just listening to Tim Curry narrate this. His voice is just stunning and just the perfect choice for this. But the actual events within this animation, after about 10 minutes, just became really boring. This was released in 1990. It's directed by Michael Sporn and written by Russell Hoban, based on the book by Russell Hoban. And it starts off about a marzipan pig. And something happens to this marzipan pig that means that it becomes connected to the life of a mouse. And then something happens to the mouse that means it becomes connected to the owl. And then we progress a little bit further as the cartoon goes along. And it's about each of these characters' little stories and how they're connected. And that sounds interesting. The marzipan pig, really thoroughly enjoyed. Relatable in some depressing ways. The mouse was quite interesting. And then the owl was interesting for about a minute. And then it just became ridiculous. The owl at one point was getting very overexcited, to put it simply, about a fare meter in a taxi. And it was just absolutely ridiculous. It's pointless. I just don't necessarily understand the point of this story. Unless they're trying to say these things are all connected, these are what these characters are up to, here's a little slice of life for an owl and what they might be feeling and what the mouse is feeling and what the poor marzipan pig was feeling. I did love the marzipan pig. But it just is very, very dull. After about 10 minutes, once we meet the owl, we spend far too much time with the owl, and the owl was just such an insufferable character. And after that, I'd say after we'd been with the owl for a minute, things started to get progressively worse and just go downhill from there. I really didn't enjoy it, which is a shame because, as I said, the first third-ish, it's about half an hour, but the first third is really interesting and it could have been really fascinating, but they took a direction that I found to be very boring. And the owl was a very irritating character that I actually kind of loathed the character. I never thought I'd feel that way about an animated owl, but apparently I do. So I don't recommend it unless you're looking for something that's kind of relaxing to listen to, because Tim Curry's narration was just beautiful. Just so lovely to listen to. Not necessarily the words, but the sound of the words, if that makes sense. And the animation itself is okay. The actual animation is not too bad. It's a little rough around the edges, and in some ways it's meant to be. It's part of the style. But in other ways, I feel like it could have been a little bit better. But nevertheless, I didn't mind the animation style. I liked the pig. I quite liked the mouse. I hated the owl and everything after that, so I don't recommend it. But if there is a specific reason why you want to watch this, for example, you are a fan of Tim Curry, or you do like the sound of a marzipan pig, then by all means check it out and come to your own conclusion. But I found it to be very disappointing, and it could have been so much better. Of course, it is based on the book, so I can't say exactly how it compares to the book. I'm going to assume it's very closely connected, so it's maybe not fair to say the film could have been better if it's very heavily based on the book. But at the same time, when you turn a book into a film, generally there is room to improve things and enhance things. And I get the impression that it didn't do that. So not a fan. The Marzipan Pig started off interesting. It could have been better. But unfortunately, I just found it, for the most part, to be kind of irritating.